The International Committee of the Red Cross says it has not been granted access to the bombed-out site of a prison camp where dozens of Ukrainian prisoners of war were killed in a missile strike. Russia's defense ministry says it has invited the Red Cross and the UN to inspect the location following calls from Ukraine for an investigation. Moscow and Kiev have blamed each other for the soldiers' deaths. Now, elsewhere in Ukraine, heavy Russian strikes hit the southern port city of Mykolaiv, killing a leading businessman in the grain export business and injuring several other people. Now, DW's Matthias Berlinger is in Odessa for us. Matthias, first, the attack of the prisoner of war camp. Russia says it's invited the UN and the Red Cross in. Will they be allowed to investigate freely?
Well, it's not an investigation mission as far as we know. It's a mission to establish the identity of those who were killed and to and to help with medical supplies, etc. It's not an investigation into what has happened there. However, we have this invitation from the Russians via public channels, but the Red Cross is saying it has not yet received confirmation that they'll be really able to travel there. So we don't know whether it will really happen or not.
Okay, and we're also hearing from Turkey that the first grain export shipment could leave Ukraine on Monday. But with the renewed attacks in southern Ukraine, is that likely?
I'm not sure whether there's a link between these attacks and these grain exports, because these attacks have been going on for quite a while, and they have started before that grain deal was signed. The attacks on Mykolaiv, I'm saying. Mykolaiv is one of the cities that has been shelled heavily since the beginning of the war. What is true is that these shellings have intensified throughout the past few days, and that the last night was probably the worst, one of the worst, if not the worst, since the beginning of the war, with 40 rockets hitting the city. So these shellings have clearly intensified. There have also been explosions here in Odessa, in the outskirts of Odessa, and that's also something that has occurred during the past few days, weeks. You can see behind me that people have somehow adapted to this, and they're not disrupted by something hitting somewhere in the outskirts or nearby. But of course there is always the danger, and I think if these strikes would not directly hit the ports right now, where these ships are already loaded and waiting to leave, that would probably not be a disruption. Ukraine has no interest in using these attacks in some way. They have an interest in getting out as much grain as possible, as long as it will be possible. Faith is not very high that this will really work on a longer period. It's 4 or 8 months needed to get all the grain supplies out, and that's definitely something that many people have doubts about whether this will really be possible. So whether it's going to happen tomorrow or not, we don't know. The signal, the go, has to come from Turkey, from this coordination center. It did not come on Friday and Saturday as many had expected, but it might come tomorrow.